is a registered social worker, expert in autism, and a contributing writer to the children's series Thomas and Friends, All Engines Go. I'd like to welcome Daniel Share-Strom to Sidewalks Entertainment. Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Lori. And I'd also add I'm also autistic myself.
Got it. So tell me a little bit about the work that you do as a registered social worker and an expert in autism.
Yeah, so as a registered social worker, I actually only work with clients who are autistic, and I work through what's called a positive psychology lens, which means that unlike certain traditional models, which focus on making them change certain parts of who they are to fit in, I work with them on their strengths to define and achieve their life goals.
So, what do you enjoy most about the work that you do, and why is it important to you?
So I really enjoy making a positive difference in people's lives in my work because there is really a mental health crisis in the autism world. Um, there's a real mental health crisis. We experience things like depression and anxiety at a rate many times the rate of typical kids, especially when we're kids. And I think that the positive representation for characters like Bruno the brake car on Thomas and Friends, which is the character that we're introducing, is really important and can really help with that.
So, just on a side note, I actually have family with autism. So, when I found out about Bruno the Brake Car, in all honesty, I was a little bit emotional with tears of joy because it's
Oh,
it's really nice that there is now a character that they can connect with on a personal level. And I mean, they didn't have that when they were growing up, but now there's Bruno the Brake Car for generations to come, and that's beautiful. That's wonderful.
yeah, no, thank you so much. And it's so lovely to hear that. And yeah, the Thomas and Friends has always really resonated with autistic folks because it's very common. Trains are a very common interest for people on the spectrum. And
Mm-hmm.
when I found out that there was this opportunity to work on one of the biggest children's brands in, well, history, and to integrate an autistic character, I thought that that was just such that was so lovely to be offered that, and I think Mattel has taken real care to listen to people who know what they're talking about, like myself, other consultants they brought on, in order to make one of the most authentic and realistic autistic characters I've ever seen, and the response from autistic folks has just been tremendous so far.
So, as we mentioned earlier, you are a contributing writer for the children's series Thomas and Friends, All Engines Go. Tell me about how you became one of the writers for this series.
Yeah, so funny story. So there was a little bit of a Facebook post that I didn't know who it was from and everything. Facebook post on a writers group that I was on a couple of years ago, and they were just saying that they were looking for an autistic writer to help with one of their legacy children's brands. And I figured, okay, it'll probably just be something that's been on for a few years. They're probably exaggerating. And then they said, "Have you heard of Thomas and Friends?" And
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
yeah, I was just like, you do mean Thomas the Tank Engine, right?
Yeah, Thomas the Train. Whoa, wait. So this all started from a Facebook post?
Yeah,
Wow, that's wild. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So, as we've been talking, or as we've been mentioning, Bruno the Brake Car, for those of us who are just chiming in right now, Bruno the Brake Car is another lovable addition to the Thomas and Friends series. And Bruno is the first ever autistic character to be added to the series. When it came to writing Bruno the Brake Car and show content, what was most important to you?
It was most important to me to make sure that we presented the most realistic and authentic autistic character that I have ever seen in the media. And I think we've really done that. We've really taken pains to avoid stereotypes. Usually autistic characters in the media, there's getting to be more of them, which is great. but they either fall into one of two stereotypes, which is they're total savants and they're perfect at everything except maybe social skills, and everyone else is just there to gawk at their brilliance, or they're totally helpless and they're there to be pitied. And both of those are very harmful stereotypes. We want to show autistic characters as having their strengths, having their challenges, just like anybody else, and just being accepted by their communities and living their best lives. And that's what we're doing with Bruno.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, what has your experience been like so far working on this show?
It's been so tremendous. There's always the worry when you come onto something like this that maybe someone's just trying to check a diversity checkbox or something like that. So, I didn't know as soon as I logged on, as soon as I came onto the project, what that would be like. But very quickly, it became clear that Mattel wanted to do this right. They brought me on to help develop the initial draft of what the character looks like and some of his initial stories. They brought on other autistic writers as well. They brought on whole teams of autistic consultants from the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network and Easter Seals. They have just a tremendous autistic voice actor named Chuck Smith, who's really done a great job driving the character home, and it's just been so brilliant. They've been really receptive anytime we have any suggestions, and I'm just so happy with the way the character has turned out so far.
Awesome, awesome. So, one last question before we wrap. What would you like to say to fans of the character Bruno the Brake Car and to the fans of the series Thomas and Friends All Engines Go?
I want to say thank you so much for the truly humbling support that I've received since we announced Bruno. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say that they feel validated and that they feel seen and understood for the first time in their lives, because they are seeing a character that is just so authentic, and that is what I wanted to do my whole career, and make people feel like they belong and validated. And the fact that we're doing this it's the best thing that's happened to me in my career.
Well, Daniel, I had such a great time speaking with you today. Sadly, we are out of time, but thank you so much for taking time to speak with me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel and Lori. You can watch new episodes of Thomas and Friends All Engines Go in the United States on Cartoon Network's Cartoonito. For more full-length celebrity interviews, visit us at sidewalkstv.com, our YouTube channel, and don't forget to follow us on social media.